Can ultra luxury be ethical as well? Today, we're looking into the story of a brand that, although it's super old, ultra luxurious and very important historically for the whole of the fashion industry, it got sudden popularity because of the clean girl aesthetic and the old money trends and all that. It seems like individuality is suffering these days, and it makes my little black heart so happy when I see Londoners defy these trends. The story is about the house of Loro Piana, which is active more than 2 centuries and more than 6 generations of wool craftsmen, craftswomen and artisans have contributed to this legacy. When I say ultra luxury, I mean another dimension luxury. The reason though I mentioned the clean girl aesthetic is because this brand is very discreet. It is considered to be the Zara for the rich, the Uniqlo. They buy there the basics. You won't find any big logos in Loro Piana, no patterns like Burberry or Westwood, nothing that betrays where the garment is from. Just plain, basic, super versatile, great, amazing quality products. A Loro Piana jumper, as far as the design is concerned, can easily be found at Marks & Spencer at more than 1/100th of the price. You're probably thinking I'm exaggerating, but while a wool sweater costs 30 quid in M&S, similar design, of course not the quality, but the design will be 3,888. Yes, they do sell sweaters with the price of a used car or a 2-bedroom flat rent. We debunked the narrative of the really rich people don't wear designer brands in the first episode, but for those of you who haven't watched it, here's another example. Steve Jobs, he always wear black turtlenecks. These turtlenecks were custom-made Issey Miyake ones, and they costed nearly £500 each. How did this brand become the Zara of the rich? That's a very good question. The Pianas called themselves the oldest wool producers today, and the truth is, they are. The story goes back to the 1800s around the Piedmont region of northern Italy, where the family traded wool and exported it to Europe. The Loro Piana, as a brand we know today, was founded in 1924 by Pietro Loro Piana in Tribero, northern Italy. Pietro intended to also innovate in the textile industry, so he moved away from exclusively producing wool. He envisioned a brand that is dealing with all sorts of natural fabrics like cottons, linens, wool from other animals, satisfying the hunger and the obsession they had about super good, top-notch quality, but also perfecting the art of fabric making in all those other materials. For 2 decades, the house evolved steadily and organically, embodying the belief that mastering an art form is not about chasing fleeting trends or overnight success. It demanded countless hours of meticulous weaving, learning from mistakes, and embracing small deliberate steps towards commercial growth. In 1941, just as the Second World War ended, Franco Piana, nephew of the founder, takes over the reins of the company. His mission was clear. The brand will become the undisputed leader in high-quality textile production. They aim to set a standard so exceptional that comparisons would be futile. He scoured the globe for the finest, most exquisite raw materials, personally sourcing them and bringing them back to Italy. With his family's generation-old expertise, these materials were transformed into some of the most luxurious fabrics found not just in Italy, but across all of Europe. They specialized in cashmere and premium wool. They crafted sweaters so unparalleled in quality that they became synonymous with ultimate luxury, garments that they were simply unmatched. In the 1970s, when Franca's sons Pierluigi and Sergio Loro Piana take over, the story takes a truly extraordinary turn. Pierre made it his life's mission to find the softest fiber in the world. In the 1980s, the house officially launched his first luxury line, offering both men's and women's pieces that embodied simplicity, elegance, and a singular purpose: to keep you warm and impossibly soft. But it was the mid of the 80s where they achieved something truly groundbreaking. They were the first to discover baby cashmere. Imagine something softer than the clouds, softer than dreams, softer than chocolate mousse made by angels. It is amazing. This isn't just any cashmere. No, this is the holy grail of softness. The secret, the ultra fine undercoat of baby Hyrcus goats. Yes, baby goats. Chilling out in the mystical Kashmir region of northern India. But wait, this is no petting zoo. These goats weren't just hanging there, hanging out on the farms or anything. Nope. To find them, you have to scale the wild, majestic Alasan Mountains. Think of hurricanes, icy winds, sideways rains. It's basically nature's version of Ninja Warrior Championship, and once you finally get there, the fiber is gathered with the care of a royal ritual. It's very difficult, because this stuff is not fabric, it's wearable magic. The goats can only be sheared once in their lifetime, and only during a specific 2-week window in June, when they begin to shed their winter coats for the summer. The shearing has to be done with the utmost care to avoid harming the animal, and if you miss that narrow window, you're effed. You're done. You're so done. It's a process so precise, so demanding, that it feels almost impossible. But for Pierre, it was a challenge worth pursuing, because the result was nothing short of magical. This lower belly fur fiber is so thin, it has a diameter of 13 to 15 microns, that it's 20% thinner than the cashmere from an adult goat. I, who absolutely love cashmere as much as anything, can't even imagine anything softer than this. Meanwhile, Sergio back in Italy was busy crafting the most commercial, easy to sell pieces. Remember, as I said, design-wise, we're not talking about anything extraordinary. He was forging partnerships and opening stores. Pierre was deep in the mountains of India, tirelessly working to convince local communities and officials to support his vision. The shepherds, after all, they all needed to be persuaded to share 6-month-old baby goats, not exactly the easiest task in the world, and then of course they were wondering what's in it for them, especially considering that these agile little creatures were darting across cliffs like their lives depended on it. But Pierre ensured the herds were well fed and protected, building trust over time. It took him a full decade to perfect the shearing and the production process and build all these relationships. Back in Italy, the team was refining techniques to soften and dye this incredibly delicate material. Pierre, however, had to endure the chaos of shepherding life, but he eventually got bored of the cold, so he decided to shift his focus to a new frontier, the Andes in Latin America. While exploring those uncharted mountains, he turned his attention to a very soft, fluffy cameloid known as the vicuña. These graceful creatures, they are so cute, resembling llamas, are native to countries like Bolivia, Peru, Argentina, here in the mountains. They call their fur the fiber of God, and the man's sweater can cost 3,790 pounds. Remember, before, when I was talking about the baby cashmere, I said that a baby coat had a hair thickness of 15 to 13 microns, while the Vicuñas have 12 microns, so they are even thinner, even softer, more than half of the diameter of a fiber coming from a British goat. This makes it softer than softness itself. 1 kilogram of Bolivian Vicuña wool is sold for $370. The reasons it is so expensive, well, there are many. First, it is a wild animal. They need to use 50 to 60 individuals to herd them into something like a temporary fold. Also because it's in an altitude of 4,000 meters. Many teams cannot transport clippers, generators, so the haircut happens with scissors, the old way, the primitive way. While their fiber was exceptionally soft, Vicuñas are a menace to society. They are wild, they are untamed. Nothing like the domesticated alpaca feel done free from model family just brought home one afternoon. The poor cute fluffs Vicuñas faced a grim reality. Their precious fiber was highly sought after, and many in the wool trade industry resorted to unethical practices, including killing the poor Vicuñas to harvest their coat. This brutal exploitation drove the Vicuña population to the brink of extinction, with only 65 tiny Vicuñas left. Recognizing the urgency, Loro Piana stepped in. They struck a deal with the Peruvian government to provide protection for the Vicuñas, employing bouncers, guards to protect them, and implementing a sustainable shearing process every 2 years. Thanks to these efforts, the Vicuña population has rebounded to about 14,000 in 2024, a remarkable recovery. As part of the 2008 agreement, Loro Piana established the first ecological park in Peru and expanded their conservation efforts to Argentina and Bolivia as well. They also introduced strict shearing guidelines to ensure the animal's safety and well-being, setting a new standard for ethical luxury. Now you might be thinking, oh my god, what a cute kind man, what an amazing brand this is, thank god a brand that cares about the environment, the people and the animals. Well, no. They only care about profit. As I was doing the research for the Vicuña wool, I couldn't help but wonder how is it possible to have 14,000 Vicuñas producing wool worth $370 per kilo, and the Bolivian people are still struggle. They are still struggle with hunger and poverty. It's a valid question. So turns out, as part of Loro Piana's agreement to protect the Vicuñas from extinction, they secured 90% of the wool production. That means only 10% of this precious fiber remains in South America to be distributed among the countries where these animals roam. So 10% to be divided between 3-4 countries, Peru, Bolivia. Imagine a Bolivian woman skilled in knitting, crafting an alpaca or a Vicuña sweater by hand. She could earn 10-20 times more for her work if she had access to more of this luxurious material. It would be a lifeline for communities battling poverty, but instead, the overwhelming majority of the wool, 90%, goes to what some might call the Zara for the rich. It is yet another stark reminder of the inequalities woven into the fabric of capitalism. While the animals are saved and the luxury thrives, the people who live alongside them often see little of the wealth their own land produces. So over the last 30 years, yes, they have mastered the art of crafting fabrics from the rarest and most luxurious fiber in the world, baby cashmeres, Vicuñas, and even ventured to the other side of the globe, to Australia, to source the finest extra fine merino wool. They didn't stop there. They also explored the highlands of Tasmania for the elusive lotus fiber, a material so exquisite it's almost mythical. The good news, this shift has not only strengthened their sales, but also added a layer of authenticity to their story. A new era for Loro Piana starts on 2013, when the brand was sold to the LVMH group for a staggering 2.6 billion euros. The luxury conglomerate wasted no time in leveraging the brand's prestige, enlisting high-profile celebrities like Kendall Jenner to front their campaigns. Suddenly, Loro Piana was everywhere, on the runways of New York Fashion Week, at the heads of A-list celebrities with the iconic sports cap. The brand became a symbol of elite luxury, but with that came a shift in its own identity. Loro Piana was never a symbol of wealth the same way that Hermès or Rolexes. It was always about discreet and quiet luxury, which is the exact opposite from a sports cap being promoted as the next big thing. Yes, a sweater costing £3,000 kind of makes sense, but a baseball cap? As expected, recent reports suggested a darker side to this glamorous transformation. Last year, articles surfaced claiming that LVMH has quietly phasing out the collaborations with the old Italian tailors who have worked closely with the Piana family for over 30 years. Guys, these artisans, with their decades of expertise, were the backbone of the brand's unparalleled quality and craftsmanship. The profit-making machine does not give a turd about legacy, about craftsmanship, history, human stories, and relationship. They only care about the stock price, the sales, and the media coverage. Nothing else. So, forgive me, but the cynic in me, or perhaps the realist in me, thinks that this marks the beginning of a decline. While Loro Piana's popularity may continue to soar under LVMH's global machine, there is a growing concern that its quality will suffer, as it has been the case for many of the heritage brands swallowed by the corporate giants. It wouldn't be surprising if existing agreements with Latin America, with India, with Pakistan, with Pakistani farmers, as well as the arrangements with ecological organizations in Asia and in Latin America were altered or even abandoned. Of course I'm scared. After all, we're talking about the big sharks in the luxury ocean, where profit often takes precedence over tradition and ethics. It's a bittersweet reality. The brand may shine brighter than ever on the surface, but at what cost to its soul? That was my little episode for Loro Piana today. If you really liked this video, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. If you really truly found it fantastic, share it with your friends so we can grow. And let me know down in the comments how you feel about Loro Piana being part of LVMH group, if you are as worried as I am. Until next time, see ya.